welcome back to the Crafty Sew&So channel. I'm Freya and today I'm going to be sharing with you my 4 top tips for getting into dressmaking. Now, I've been dressmaking for about 10-11 years. I first started to sew when I was a young kid with my mum. I picked up my first kind of sewing pattern when I was around 16, but then it was after uni when I was unemployed for a little bit that I spent all my time dressmaking and kind of consider that the start of my dressmaking journey. It was a fantastic time to learn how to dressmake because it was kind of the dawn of sewing bloggers and things. So I found lots of inspiration, lots of advice and support online at my computer, at my fingertips, and it was also the start of when independent sewing patterns were available, and all sorts of things like that. So it was a really excellent opportunity and time to kind of have a go and learn a fantastic new skill. Dressmaking can be a little bit intimidating, but I really want to encourage everyone to have a go because it's really it really isn't as difficult or as scary as you might think. But if you are feeling intimidated, I want to share with you today my 4 top tips for getting into dressmaking and having a go. So the first thing that you want to do is equip yourself. Now, you don't need tons and tons of things to start with. You don't need all the equipment because there is a lot out there, honestly. Most of it isn't essential. It's just really nice to use, and if you've been sewing a while, you get more tempted. What you do need to buy is yourself a sewing machine. Now, you can spend £100, you can spend £200, you can spend £500, £600, but I'm going to assume that we're working more towards the lower end of the scale if you're just starting out. If you can afford it, go for something that's computerized because computerized machines are fantastic. They make life so much easier, they simplify, and they take out kind of some of the hard work, the thinking behind it. So all your stitch settings taken care of, you can sit down and you can just work on your project. It's fantastic. Computerized machines start around £200, £250. The brother one that we use in our workshop sometimes is called the Innovus 15, and I would highly recommend it. It's our best seller, and I would always recommend that to anyone who's learning to sew. The other option, of course, is maybe you can find a second-hand machine or borrow a machine. You can often find sewing machines second-hand, like on Facebook Marketplace, for example. But it's a really good place to look if you're really kind of looking to start on a bit of a budget, you can find manuals for things online, and a service for a machine costs around £40, £50. In terms of other equipment you're going to need, there's not much else. I think there's 5 things that I'd recommend. You need to get yourself a tape measure for dressmaking. Taking accurate body measurements is so important because you cannot even think about relying on your high street sizes for your garments. They don't equate in any way. Don't do it. We've done a really great blog post on our myhandmadewardrobepatterns.com site that has advice on measuring yourself accurately for dressmaking patterns, and I will link that below. You also will need a decent pair of fabric shears. These are not your kitchen scissors. These are exclusive scissors for your fabric. If you're on a tight budget, IKEA do a pair for £5, £6. They may have gone up since I last bought some, which was a few years ago. They will do the job. If you only use them on fabric, they will stay relatively sharp and they can be resharpened, but they are a cheap pet option, and so do remember that when you're estimating how long and how good they'll be. What I would recommend, which is what we use in workshops as well as personally at home, is the Prim tailor's shears. I use the left-handed ones, so they only come in 8 inches, which is a nice size, but they also do longer ones for right-handers because you get everything good. They are brilliant. They're serrated, so they don't really go blunt. They stay nice and sharp, which is essential for fabric cutting. And they've got just the right amount of weight, so they feel substantial in your hand, but they're not gonna break your wrist. Marking tools. Again, there's a variety out there. If you want to keep it limited, I would start with something chalk-based. So you can get chalk wheels, which leave a line of dust. You can get chalk pencils, which act like mechanical pencils. I'm sure you get the gist of that. You can get solid chalk, which has its pros and cons. You get a lot of chalk, but it's a bit of a faff and it's not very sharp and precise. You can also get, by Pilot, do these friction pens, which are designed for writing on paper as well as fabric, and you can erase them with the heat of an iron. So if you're doing stuff on lighter fabric, that's really, really useful. They cost around £2.50 to £6 per item. Choose which one you want to have a go with and have a go with it. There's differences, but you can't go far wrong. And the last essential thing that you should buy is some pins. Some dressmaking pins, but not the ones with the plain head. Get yourself some nice sharp pins with a bead or something on the end. They are so much better. I only use those now. When I first started sewing, I did buy the cheaper ones without anything on the end. I got rid of them all as soon as I could, as soon as I found these excellent ones with the bead on the end. So much better, 100% recommend them. So those are the 5 things that you need to start sewing. Other tips for starting sewing: do your research. There is a lot of stuff out there, but not everything is suitable or geared towards people who are starting off. Some of it, or a lot of it, is aimed at people who already have a good solid foundation, or it's designed for people who already know what they're doing. So there are companies who are out there and actively working to build products and courses and patterns and projects designed for beginners to encourage you and support your learning and give you something that is manageable for you to achieve. Because there's nothing more off-putting when picking up a new hobby when you just fail, like it just isn't working for you. So that's what we're avoiding. My Handmade Wardrobe, which is the pattern company myself and Sarah started, is one of those. So we aim to be able to make dressmaking accessible to everyone. We want everyone to feel like they can have a go at dressmaking and have the support that they need. So as well as our very simple patterns, which are perfect for beginners, we have got really clear instructions with photographs for each step, so you're not left guessing at what we're talking about. As well as that, on the website you will find a shed load of other resources and information. So if something doesn't make sense to you, because not everything clicks, you know, and sometimes people don't pick up information by reading, they prefer to see a video or like things to be explained in greater depth, and we've got space for in a booklet. We've put it online, so there is a ton of resources there as well for you. We're not the only ones who do this. Other pattern companies I recommend to beginners include Tilly and the Buttons, who does something very similar. She works really hard to make sewing very accessible, and she's got some beautiful. Colette, which is now exclusively online, are fantastic as well. They've got some really classic simple shapes, and they've got everything online in terms of support and advice and information for you there. And as a great source of free and cheap patterns, which is a great resource when you're starting out, check out the sewing magazines. So there's Love Sewing, there's Sew Mag, there's Simply Sewing, there's probably more, can't think of them right now, but they have monthly, they come with a pattern and they have patterns included that you can download off the website, and the instructions are left in the magazine. And they've got a variety of different styles and levels, but they're really nice for inspiration, and as I say, you're spending £6 on the magazine and then you get at least 2 patterns free. So it's a really nice resource. Do be careful with the sewing magazines, because the patterns will be less tested than the ones you're paying full price for. Okay, so you've got your equipment, you've picked a pattern. What do you need next? Next, you're gonna need some fabric to sew with. So, absolutely, 100%, you could, like everything we've talked about so far, you can spend money on fabric. When you're starting out, there are 3 things I'd like you to consider. Price of the fabric. Don't spend a fortune. It might not go right and you don't want to feel like you've wasted £50 on fabric that's going in the bin. That's just heartbreaking. There are tons of fabrics out there, and they've got lots of different names and different qualities. I'll put a link to my blog post below which explains different woven fabrics and different jersey fabrics. That's really useful information. You might not fancy reading it straight away, but it's something that you might want to come back to as you get more confident sewing. When you're starting off, you want to work with a fabric that's really stable. Stable fabric will do as it's told and is much easier to work with. If you've picked a pattern that works with woven fabrics, you want to be looking for something like a cotton poplin or a cotton lawn, or maybe a lightweight denim, maybe some corduroy, but that is kind of where you want to start off. You don't want to go into the silky fabrics or the floaty fabrics, because they don't do as they're told. You want to stick with stuff that's going to listen to you as you try and work with it for the first time. Cotton lawn is my favourite to work with. I'm wearing this blouse, is cotton lawn. It's lightweight, it's breezy, it's great for summer, it's stable and it will do as it's told, and it's really versatile. So you can make blouses, you can make shorts, you can make trousers, you can make dresses, you can make skirts. You can just make pretty much any garment you'd want to with it. You can use it for lining. It's brilliant. If you're going to work with a pattern that calls for jersey fabric, look for words like ponti-roma or single knit cotton. Those ones, again, are the more stable of the options that you have. Ponti-roma is ideal for dresses and skirts and jackets. Single knit jersey in a cotton base is great for t-shirts and dresses and skirts as well. So you've still got a nice amount of options of items that you can make with those, but you'll find yourself fighting with the fabric a lot less if you're working with something more stable. My fourth and final tip is check out resources. So going back to what I said at the beginning about researching, there's a lot of resources out there. So there's online resources, there are online courses you can do, there are Skillshare sites, there's blogs that talk about patterns that they've made, and vloggers that talk about sewing that they've done, and so you can get advice and tips and support and inspiration, very important, from those. Also, reach out to the sewing community near and where you are. Like there's a really lovely sewing community in Leicester where we're based, and if I've got a question about a pattern I've not used before, or I'm wondering where someone's got some gorgeous fabric or something like that, I can reach out to them back to you. So you've got that really excellent resource. Or you can be like, I've bought this fabric and I don't really know what to do with it. Has anyone got any ideas? Again, there's a bit of resource to and fro. It's really great. The other place that you can get support and information from is sewing workshops. So we run sewing workshops, again in Leicester, which isn't going to be convenient for everyone, because I expect you're from all over the UK, all over Europe, all over the world perhaps. But there will be sewing groups, maybe a sewing club, maybe a sewing workshop, maybe a sewing school near you that will be able to offer extra and added support from people who are more experienced and more confident and have been teaching and sewing for years. I love going to sewing clubs because, so I don't even feel like I need the tuition very much, but the going and the sewing with people is so much fun. We have meetups, so we don't even necessarily have like a tutor, we just sometimes get together and sew as a community because it's fun to sew with other people. And again, even if you don't have a formal tutor, you're going to learn stuff. You've got people to bounce ideas from, you've got people to show you their tips and tricks. We learn so much from our customers, as possibly more than we teach. You know, we just learn because everyone comes with their own ideas and their own methods and their own workarounds. And so yeah, we absolutely love that. We get so much out of running the workshops. It's a two-way street, so it's one of my favourite things. Thank you so much for watching my blog today. These have been my 4 top tips for getting into dressmaking. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you want any more information about any of the companies or the blog posts or anything, I will link them all down below, and I really would love to see what it is that you start learning to sew. So if you did want to join our community, because we also have an online Facebook group, you can come and join us on there. Wherever you are in the world, come join our community and show us what you've been making, because we would love to see much. And if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe wherever that button is.